Yep, I know you all heard about it. Mr. Relationship Guru himself, Derrick Jaxn, has been talked about, memed, TikTok, and the like. So many things. And I took a step back. I heard about it and I was like shaking my head only because this has made headlines like in the black community like crazy. Um Meanwhile, we still have people that are now weighing in on his wife who was wearing a hat that appeared to be a bonnet. Now, I was a little confused, but it's not for me to not be confused. That's their marriage. So the comments that are coming going around that you've heard have to do with, his book is about to drop. He's always talking about doing the right thing in a relationship, and he's doing the wrong thing. He had some woman on the side and had asked her to get rid of the child, and then she ended up pregnant again. I've heard that. It's just a lot of back and forth. And I'm looking at the way that they're coming forward as if they needed to. I guess, I don't know if they needed to. I was thinking if that were me, would I want to come forward about all my business? Like, I don't owe you any explanation. If she's going to stand by you, let her stand by you. But I don't want to say at least get your hair together and stuff like that, because what's beautiful to you might not be the same thing for him. So he married her, and if that's what he loves, and I don't want you to be like, well, that's why he cheated on her. But yeah, she looked like she was being held hostage, but at the same time, it's like you're doing something that's like non-traditional. Who My parents didn't, well, they weren't married, but they wouldn't dare come forward on social media and explain anything. The marriages that last for 50 years, 60 years go through trauma, and nobody knows about it, or the people that knew about it, they knew to stay in their place. So how can we make this such a priority when we still have people dying? We still have people starving. We still have issues going on in our community. I don't want to, take away from the fun part of this, but just in the beginning, take a look at this couple, right?
What's going on, guys? Derrick Jaxn here, and today I am joined by my lovely wife, Danae, and we just wanted to address a couple of things. We understand that some of you may have already heard, maybe not, that this chapter of our marriage is one that was preceded by a marriage that I completely failed. And I would say it just started around August, maybe September of last year. But, a lot has been said already about what was the cause and all that other stuff. Some of it is true. Some of it is completely false. But the truth is, and I'm saying it here now, is that Derrick Jaxn was involved with other women outside the marriage. And by involved, I want to be clear, I'm not talking about just...
Okay. Why is Derrick Jaxn speaking in third person? Again, you're in a territory that's not even necessary. Explaining yourself to the public about what you and your wife already discussed on something that happened in the past. What is your obligation to the public? Now you're saying Derrick Jaxn. Like, do you mean Jackson with XN and you're Derrick JACKSON? Or was it you? Why didn't he say me if you're gonna do it, right? But again, I'm just like, what is really going on here? What is this? So let's move on.
Casually kicking it, maybe a lunch or something like that. I'm talking about as serious as sex, to sexual flirtation and meeting up and that kind of thing. And some things that otherwise may be considered okay by some in terms of like just chatting or checking on people or being checked on by people that I've had a previous encounter with. But without my wife's knowledge of it and with us having a sexual history, all of it falls under the umbrella of inappropriate, cheating.
All day, right? So I don't disagree with you. People that you've had past discretions with and relationships with, and you still, inboxing and communicating with them. How you doing? Just checking to see if you are right. Your job is to make sure that your wife is all right, not to see if everybody else is all right. I'm looking at the staircase in the background. It looks like they're doing okay, but are you going to be Captain Save them at this point? Again, you have no obligation to tell us what's really going on. If you want to talk about it, put it in a book, make it a good read, and move on from there. But I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Affair, stepping out, definitely not in alignment with the vows that I took, and definitely not in alignment with the biblical standard of what it means to be faithful, which is the standard that I'm going by now. Now, I'm saying this publicly, not because I'm, married to you guys. First and foremost, I'm accountable to God. Then I have to be accountable to my wife, in which we've already had this conversation. I've already told her literally everything. I've given her basically a roll call list. If I've said hello to a woman in the last 12 years of me knowing her, she knows about it. But now that it's been made so public, it's important that I first off let you guys know I do not stand by those actions. I don't want to encourage anybody to do that. And then secondly, I know that I cannot build a platform preaching certain things, preaching against certain things, and then in my real life live contrary to that.
It's too late. Number one, you've got police officers that run lights. You've got pastors that molest children. You've got, just because you put the ring on the finger doesn't mean all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? But not only that, if you're a relationship guru, which, okay, relationship guru, you may know what not to do, but that doesn't mean that we should be like, oh, he must be perfect. Oh my goodness. What was the girl thinking that actually had the relationship with him on the side? Like, was she thinking every single time she communicated with him or was with him that, oh, you always talking about why men cheat and why women this and that, but you're here with me, So I don't understand. Like, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. This is why I don't do celebrities. I can't do it because I know that they've been burned and I don't want to be a part of that. I just know, because when you become an influencer, you become a celebrity. And now people are looking up to you like, oh my God, he's perfect. Derrick Jaxn wouldn't do that. Well, he did. Here we go. Let's move on.
For any amount of time or any length of time to any extent and think that I can't be held accountable. The same way that I preach, men and women in this situation need to face consequences of their actions, deserve to be held accountable. Guess what? Derrick Jaxn's no exemption. He's not exempt from that. I'm also not a victim.
Oh, he did say I. He said, I'm not a victim, but he, okay, he's still talking in third person. Now, I agree, Felicia, check this out. Felicia says he needs a publicist. That's my point. You don't have an obligation to tell anybody anything outside of your marriage. Now, if he did hire me as his publicist, I would have told him that. And this would have been retooled. I would never tell him, all right, y'all need to do a video. Wear that hat because it looks like a bonnet. Put them jeans on. No. First of all, I would have came out like the baddest, you know what? Like, shoot, I don't know what he tipped out of this house for. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. But as a publicist, crisis management is very key. I've had a client call me at 2 a.m. about a situation that we had to handle, and we put the smoke on it, okay? We put the fire out. All you saw was puff, puff, puff. Because there's a way to handle everything. Thank you so much for that comment. Oh, thank you, Rafia. A crisis publicist. Absolutely. So here, Rafia said, love your hair. Tired of the Jacksons. Okay, all right. I get it. Okay. All right, Felicia. Absolutely. Here we go. Now let's move on. Is he back to I'm a victim or I'm not a victim? Let's.
Nobody made me do this. She didn't make me or push me to do it. The next person didn't make me. No friend influenced me. It don't matter how I was raised and what trauma, whatever. Look, I made decisions. I made a series of decisions that I got to account for. There's no excuse or justification. I've already made that bed and have had to lie in it. And now we're finally getting on to the other side personally in our own healing, in our own marital oneness. And now this is being made public to you guys. So we're bringing that forth to you guys to let you know where we're at with that. But
for what? Nobody asked. But I do have a question. Where's the cup of tea? The one like in Get Out where where she used that to hypnotize people. Doesn't the wife kind of remind you of the character in Get Out, the black woman? I can't even remember her name. She was the grandmother. She just kind of reminds me. She's just kind of moving along with him, and he's talking, and she's looking off a little bit, but then she's back focused, you know. But again, you don't owe anybody any explanation. She could have been like, baby, bye. I'm about to go and make me something to eat. You hungry? I mean, this is not necessary. And then they have a follow-up video, but I digress.
Did you want to say anything?
Oh, here we go.
Yes, so I do want to just add that I agree with what he just said. There is no justification for bringing other women into our marriage on any level. And it was unacceptable. And it's not something that I tolerate or that we tolerate moving forward. And when I've been flooded again with messages and these things and about, you know, I need to leave or why haven't I left? And the answer is, when I found out about it, I left. I did not hesitate or waste time to do so. And
why do we need to know that? Just because you got flooded with a bunch of messages doesn't mean you need to let people know that you left. You know, it kind of reminds me of when people call me and say, hi, I'm looking for LaDonna. And I'm like, who's calling? Well, I need to verify who you are, is what they say to me. I don't have to, this is my phone. You don't get to verify who I am. I need to verify who you are. So why is it that she felt obligated to respond? Who knows? Did those inbox messages force her or make her feel like I should leave because I look stupid if I don't? Or did she leave before she got those inbox messages? I'm a little lost on that. Hold on. Rafia's on the case. On the follow-up video, shaking my damn head. Now she's trying to be relatable. So sick of these two. Yeah. Here's my concern. I'm hoping that they can pull through this after all of this public apology or explanation. I feel like if it was a little bit more private, they could have pulled through it better. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm just saying that now everybody's going to be watching and waiting. And trust me, there's going to be women waiting for your marriage to fail so that they can have you. It's just stupid. But here we go. Let's move on. Oh, hold on. Ethel says, this so reminds me of when Tyson and it does. And his ex-wife, Robin Givens, did the popular media interview. It surely does. And what happened with them? It was over. It was over. 60 seconds.
I stayed gone. No matter how many times he came, I stayed gone and stood firm on, I am not coming back. And I did not come back until I seen a shift and a change in his mentality, in how he carried himself, in how he presented himself, and conversations that we were able to have that we had never been able to have in just 12 years of knowing each other. And when we were able to have these dialogues, said, okay, Lord, this is something that you've had your hand on. And this was with me being completely removed from his life. And him pursuing God, continuing to pursue God, and continuing to eliminate these things that led up to the catastrophe that you guys are.
And speaking of catastrophe, people are still getting shot up here in Chicago and everywhere else for no reason. Innocent bystanders are dying. But this is taking priority over that. Now, for her to say, I left, I didn't come back until I saw him, following God. Everybody calls on God after the fact. That's a reactive thing, right? I'm not judging. I'm just saying maybe we should call on God before things happen. You think? I think it's a good idea. Maybe we should call on God before we have to do the apology and turn our life over to the Lord. And now we're wearing a cross and things of that nature. But again, I'm still just not judging. I'm just thinking, okay, that's usually how this pattern works. You have your public apology, You have your I'm sorry, you have your denial, your admittance, then your apology, and then now we turn it over to God. How about we turn it over to God? That's the foundation. Okay. So we have a marriage that's on the foundation of God. You can't turn to the left or the right with that. For real, for real. I'm just saying. Let's learn more.
Seeing for the first time. So there's nothing out there right now that is information that I don't already know about or haven't known about. And so this is not something that is new. We have moved forward from it. We have gotten counsel for it and continue to do so. He is still continuing to pursue God and continuing to seek guidance and wise counsel from men of God. And that is what I needed for the continuation of me being present and in this marriage. And
Okay. When you seek counsel at this point, my question is this. I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly. Do you seek counsel because she found out or because it's about to go public? What do I do with, all these women? Or do you seek counsel before when you have these urges? I'm just saying, or is it too what's the word? Too much temptation and you kind of want to see if you can get through it or not. I'm just curious. Okay. I'm just curious. So don't fault me. I'm just asking a question. Here we go.
to stand by his side. So today, where I'm at is at peace, and I proudly stand by his side, and I have no hesitation, I have no hurt, no shame about that. And it's only because of the grace of God and the mercy of God. And we have already turned a new chapter in this story. We are continuing to move forward, and we are just now sharing that with you all. And I forgave him, and most importantly, God has first forgiven him, and I also forgive the others as well. And with that, we are free and moving forward. So absolutely, that's all I have.
Yeah. And I get it. Some of y'all, like, this may come as a...
I get it too. Moving forward, we're seeking God and all of the like. I get it, because that is pretty much what it will take to bring this together, especially now that you got all these people in your business. Look at Will and Jada. They publicly spoke about that word was that word became the buzzword of 2020. I think we still use it and we still think of Red Table Talk when we say entanglement. Can you say entanglement, boys and girls? Entanglement. It's just ridiculous that these people feel the need to come forward. It's like, for me, I feel like this. If I were a public figure, I would feel a bit nervous about doing anything outside of my marriage because I'm a public figure. People capitalize off of that. You know what I'm saying? They tend to, oh, I'm with Tyrese. Whoever the public figure may be, it's gonna come out. They get mad and you're like, oh my God, they're gonna go public. Of course. But why don't we think of that beforehand? Like Derrick Jaxn, you really made a name for yourself sitting in your car with that seatbelt on or not. In the peanut butter color seats, I believe they were peanut butter color, and then he upgraded at some point. But now you have people that are going, oh, he's a fraud. He's this, he's that. Well, guess what, people? He's not a fraud. He's a man. Okay? And he's human. So I'm not saying that what he did was right. You know that. But what I'm saying is your expectations may be too high. Because if your neighbor across the street or somebody in your church or somebody at your workplace or wherever the case may be was cheating on their spouse, he would just be a man. Let's move on. And we're not gonna harp on this too long.
Huge shock, probably a huge disappointment. I let a lot of you down. If you've had a perspective shift on who Derrick is, hopefully it's away from anything remotely close to perfection, and it's simply that, I am a human, and that does not justify anything that I did. But I don't want anybody out there to be putting me on a pedestal. If you did, then I hate that you did that. Maybe I gave you cause for that, and I apologize.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. It's over. Okay. So here's the deal. I didn't say what I said because he said what he said. I really, truly believe that he's human. Okay, you can tell he's a red-blooded human being. But what I say to you is, if you're in a relationship and you feel the need to tell other people all your problems, please remember that as you tell them all of your problems, they're forming a side against your other half. And then when you guys make up, they still remember all the negative stuff you told them. Before I move on, let's see what Rafia said. Oh, that's a long one. Entanglement. The Smiths spoke of it once. These fools might as well had another video about the mischief. Yeah, I totally agree with you. But when it's just you and that person, be sure to if you're going to talk about your relationship, please be sure to be positive about your other half, because when you only speak negative, that's what they're hearing. They're hearing one side and they're hearing the negative side, which makes them form an opinion about your other half. Okay, so in my case, and what I'm thinking with for my children, for instance, I was a single mom as a teenager. My son's father had his own challenges, but I never talked about them to my son because I knew he would grow up one day and figure it out. And he did. He figured out that his dad wasn't ready to be there for him as he wanted to be, right? There were some challenges. However, it wasn't my job to tell him that half of the story. The same thing goes in a relationship. If you are only remembering the negative things about your spouse or your partner, then it will never work, because the negative will outweigh the positive every single time, just depending on where you're coming from. If you're coming from a happy space where you want to give people a clean slate, then you're not going to keep track of every little thing that they do, and you're just going to focus on having a happy relationship. And when having a happy relationship, you're not thinking about what could have been, what you might be doing, and what's really not happening. What you're thinking about is how I can actually out nice this person, and they're thinking about the same thing. I'd like to see some of that in our community, because the only way to change our community with all this killing and dying and not knowing who did it and who shot John is to start with the family or even the household first. All right. Derrick Jaxn and Mrs. Jaxn, good luck to you. I hope that you guys can stick it out. Marriage is a beautiful thing. It absolutely is. I had one once. However, you have to know when to hold up and when to fold up. That's all I got. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, go to my YouTube channel. It's the LaDonna Ray Show. I'm doing this little show thing. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Just click the button. It's free. I appreciate it. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm LaDonna Ray. I didn't even put my name up. Let me do that so you can see. Well, you already know who I am, but I'm playing with this audio stuff. I guess not today, huh? There it is. There's my name. All right. I'm gone. Bye-bye for now. Oh, that didn't do it.